Welcome back to another episode of Diagnostic. Got a quick one, hopefully. 99 Chevy Malibu. Intermittent, no crank, no start. So did the basic starter operation check. Battery voltage at the starter. S terminal from the ignition switch. And then starter current. This is when it started fine. And then I had, it's intermittent, but it's pretty consistent. It's like every other or 2 good starts and then a failure. 99, and then when it did not crank, this is what I got. On the blue voltage, that's from the ignition switch on that little wire at the starter. Bolted up and everything, so that's loaded. I've seen starters where they fail and they're pulling the S terminal voltage down to 9 volts, 6 volts, some weird voltage. Unbolted it. It's hard to see. Yeah, there's no way to see it on the green alligator clip. Yeah, still not gonna be able to see it. Whatever. But green alligator clip is clamped onto the S terminal voltage wire, unbolted from the starter, and I pulled it off. I wanted to see it unloaded. Unloaded. Fine. Boom. There it is, unloaded. Unloaded. Very clean. I'm getting the full 12 volts. But I wanted to load it back up. I wanted to see my light bulb go. And I just threw a NAND clamp on there, might as well. So let's see what happens. And there's no light. Oh, lit up very brief and dim. Oh, I gotta show that. Don't fall. Come on, man. Oh, there we go. Yeah, watch that when I crank it. Of course, it's lighting up now, but when it wasn't lighting up, this is what it looked like. Alright, see if we can get it back to where it barely lights or it doesn't light. This was annoying, but you can see the blue voltage completely is different. So this is interesting. Is it ignition switch or is it the starter? Because this, if I just saw this, 110-20% start. But if I can load the S terminal wire and it does not produce a good voltage, then that says ignition switch. Let's keep going. Let's go ahead and reset. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off my trigger, go long time base. I don't usually do it, but for something like this, might as well. 10, make a sample. Oh, wow. I think 20 is like the max that changes the sample rate. So, you can see it from there. Key out, key back in. What the? What is the point of this? Do not, I repeat, do not steal their wiper fluid. Oh, there it is. Dim light, dim light. I saw dim light. See, look, no current. Look at the yellow current, no current. What the hell? It's camera shy. It literally got it on the last one. This is what it takes to prove the fault and gather evidence. This is my life. Oh, I'm bleeding. Got my blood, sweat, and tears, dude. This is annoying though. Most of them are proven by now. I had a failure and then it went. Man, this is stupid. Let's pretend we're resetting, doing the same test. One, two, three. I think we woke the beast. So I reset, went back to this test, loading the S terminal, and you can see when I first started it, it was going good. And it's kind of losing its voltage, I'm thinking, it looks like. Whoa. So like that. So it's all good, and then can't really sustain that 12 volts. It's going down to, it was 11.3 and now it's going down to 10. I would say 10 volts is gonna be a hard time to start. And when you load it even more, when with the actual starter, it's gonna drop down below that 8.5 number that we like to see with a scope. Some say 8, some say 8.5. Some say 9.6, I like 8.5, right in the middle. Yeah, got good at the end. Still pretty inconclusive. Because I could pretty much say, yeah, it's gonna need a starter, but I'd be worried about the ignition switch. But I just did it probably 80 times, however many times this was, and I had current every single time. So that pretty much kind of says the ignition switch is okay, not great. So here's a good start. And so I'm going back because I missed something, and I did. But I want to show you, here's with the test light, loading the S terminal with just that 3157 bulb or whatever it is, 4 amps. You can see I'm sustained. Where's my cursor? Sustained at 11.3 volts, and then I dropped down to 10 volts. I showed you that before. So I'm not a huge fan of that, and that is 100% good connections. Test light was lighting bright though. I have current every single time. There was problems where my test light was dim, but here's where here's what I missed, and here's where I have evidence. Look, here's in the green, the current. Red is battery voltage at the starter all the time, so we have that. Doesn't drop out. Gets a little noisy, but. And then here's that S terminal voltage. I'm gonna raise it to show the green a little clearer. See that? We should be sustained. It should sweep down, relative compression, and then it starts. But you can see we have 1, 2, and a 3 big dropouts. So we zoom in on that, and that's what it looks like. Dropping current down to -19. Below 0. So we're losing current for a second, and then rotation grabs a good brush again. I zoom in. Boom, right there. There's a second one. One goes down to -39. Not very accurate on the numbers, clearly, but we're just looking for a not sustained current. Should not have this dropout, or that one, or that one. I'm not too worried about that, but that, and clearly this guy. This is a big one. When it's around 425 amps, 425 amps, it can't hold it, and that brush drops out. So 100% needs a starter, and I think that starter was ruining the ignition switch, possibly. I'm gonna say 100% needs a starter, and we'll keep an eye on the ignition switch. So loud she blows. There's what I was messing with, the little guy. And then, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and replace it right now. She's a bit oily. And then, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that ignition switch. Alrighty, new starter in. And we got mixed reviews here. Green is not dropping out anymore. Starts above 800. Almost 900. It's a good battery, which I tested. Measuring about 500 amps on my tester. But right there. And last time it was like 450 or something like that, it would drop out. So maybe right there when the second compression peak, maybe first compression starts spinning, and then it builds a first compression peak right there, and then right there, maybe. But yeah, no dropouts. But we do have some sort of issue, maybe. Not maybe, but right there. It's a clean one to a point. It drops out for a second. So whatever this is a problem. Once I put the new starter in, I never had an issue. So we shipped it. Even though 99 got after and after B, because a couple times it was clean like this and even cleaner, but sometimes that, which I am not a fan of at all. So it went up 12 volts and it dropped out of some sort twice. Big dropouts. What I've noticed though, for me, I think it started fine, and then it did it once where it didn't start, and then it started like 10 times. I moved it, and then it not started one more time, I think, and it started every single time since then. So I'm gonna hit run. And side note, this lock cylinder is screwed up. If I take the key out, it is hard to get the key to turn. So I'll first start it right up. Got a lot going on here. But what it looks like, I'm gonna take green and red off. It looks like there was a big dropout right there, which I don't like. Same thing right here while it's cranking. So is this ignition switch dropping out? I want to get it to where it doesn't start. That one. Yeah, the blue has some noise. So far, this is the only direction I have. There it is. I'm on the starter. So there's my problem. And what is it? What do we call bad starter? Bad new starter, even though the voltage looks like crap? No. Because it gives it, and I think this is where it made it click, and it tried to pass the voltage to the green. Red is always there, 12 volts, and it actually gets loaded right there. And this is just crap. So I think the only direction I have is I could either pull this range sensor and load it with the light bulb. Thank you for the all data, you know who you are. So if we zoom in on this wiring diagram, here's the component, here's the starter, tested there. So we follow it back. Usually S terminal is a purple wire on Chevys, which it is right here. Well, to the park neutral range sensor, range switch, got a yellow wire. Yellow wire from the ignition switch to whatever that junction is. And we have a red wire supplying the voltage to the ignition switch on that circuit. And it goes into the start on the yellow wire. So I'm gonna unbolt this lock cylinder slash ignition switch assembly. Alright, so I got red input and yellow crank output back probed, or pierced. So red is the output on the yellow wire. There it is. We got blue 11 volts, 12 volts, and we got 0 volts on the red. Whoa, that was good. That was cool. I wish I had a longer time base. It would have just showed red, boom, just picked up. So boom, there's where we see the dropout. This is a loaded voltage on the blue, but it is 12 volts. And then it drops down to 6.7 real quick, which that's not good, but I tested the battery. It was holding 8 volts. I like 8.5, but 8's my for sure. I'm not gonna sell them a starter if you need a ignition switch. I mean, I'm not gonna sell a battery if it needs an ignition switch, so it's passing, but yeah. And then red, for a split second, we get 11 volts. And then the starter turns for a second, loads it, goes down to 7, but then it, right here, 9 volts, it just drops out completely. 3 volts, 2 volts. So boom, right here, that's the ignition switch. Maybe this is a little easier to see. I raised the blue. So you got 12 volts meeting 12 volts, essentially. Unless it's 0 volts, and when they turn the ignition, boom, gives it 12 volts, and then it drops out. But when it drops out, this never dropped out with it. Yeah, you can see right there. Boom, red dropout, no dropout. Alright, circular testing. Do I be thorough and disconnect the trans range sensor and load this? Yeah, I think not a horrible idea. And if I see any hash, boom, we know our problem, even though we pretty much already know the problem. Circular testing, Patrick Masters. And bingo, I think we got our, boom, nothing, dim, 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 dim. I want to see this on the scope. Because I unplugged the trans range sensor. I was going to put front probe terminals in there and maybe have it bypass and kind of loop into the starter circuit again. And then if it was acting up, I could just disconnect it and see if it's dropping out at the range sensor or after the range sensor. But I think we have our answer here. Boom. That's what it looks like, and that's what it looked like before. When I had everything, when I first hooked up my light bulb with clamps and stuff, I thought it was a bad connection because I got that noise. But if I get this noise, and no light, no output loaded, we have an issue with this ignition switch, and we have on the blue 12 volts. I want to see it dim at least. Does it go up in voltage? Oh, it was dim right there for a second. So is that last one, not this guy. It was this one. This guy. It turned on very, very dimly. And that's the red right there. That's the output. Oh, it's growing if I do it fast. That's cool. That's weird as hell. If I go fast. Oh. Had it for a split second. On, and you can see it dims out. Come on. So yeah, that's it. Partial voltage. Whoa. That's a bad ignition switch. Circular testing. Patch your master, baby. There we go. Hey, little guy. Back from lunch. I used to build the box. I put the old part right here for him to match up. And yeah, it's the right one. Sweet. That is awesome. Not. So yeah, let's put her in. Tech tip, always leave your test equipment hooked up. Back probes, piercers, so you can verify the repair. And then another tech tip, put the ignition switch in, or whatever part you're putting in, or whatever repair, and leave it taken apart before you verify the repair. Once you verify the repair, then you can put it all back together. New guy, plug. Make sure it's in the right position. This one looks like it's in like the start position. But if I had to guess, it's probably in the run position. Put this in. This start, so this should be a run right there. Boom, she's in. Wow, did I really I knocked it over? Whatever, this slides in. Just gotta make sure it's lined up. No. Yeah, walk cylinder's crap. There it is. So hopefully now we should be good. So blue, blue, red, red. And now red connected to my yellow, and blue is the input on the red wire. Come on, stupid locks on there. There we go. So start bright, bright. There we go. But I already can tell that's the fix. Repair verified. Now we'll load test it with what, 10 amps or whatever the solenoid pulls on this one. That was a good crank. Looking for blue. Look at that. Very clean. You get some noise there, but that's when you get an inrush of 800 amps or so. So you're gonna get some noise, but this is what we're looking for, the cleanness. Even on the clean one, there's a drop out here, but I don't think it got much. All right. See you. Yeah, we cranked a little long that one. Good compression. 6-cylinder. There's at least 6 right there. So I'm gonna hit it again. We're gonna do it 5 times. So last time I would do it about 5 times, and I think maybe 2 or 3 would be clean, and the other 2 or 3 would be bad. Boom. Oh, I'm just gonna do it right there then. Live. Clean. Another clean one. We'll go one more, I think. And clean. We're good. I'm gonna save this one and call it a day. I guess one last thing I could show is me sealing up these wire holes. But I do have one question that I thought of too before I thought of sealing up these holes for the video. Try to show real quick. Got a hole right there. Whoa, too bright. Right there and right there. So yeah, my question. Right here, maybe. My question is, what would you guys have done? Car came in for the condition, obviously, but when I was testing it, like I showed, I got weird stuff going on. But after I put a starter in it, it didn't happen again. So, did I make the right call the first time? Did my boss make the right call the first time? I don't know. I would say yeah, because it didn't fail for me. If it even just one time, if it failed for me after I put a new starter in there, I would have said let's keep it and keep testing. But the thing is, I'm not positive if I said it or not, but when we did the starter, I told him everything that was looking funky, that it was looking funky, and that we should warn him about that. And he told him that it could need an ignition switch, it could need something else, so the customer was aware. Let that dry a little bit and put another coat. It was a starter fault. I saw it in the current. You cannot deny that, and that was most likely what caused this failure. I can't say that for sure, but could cause high resistance. They say when you do a starter, you always want to do the starter relay. My old boss said that. Not sure if that's 100%, but we did that on a lot of them, not everyone. Actually, towards the end of it, we didn't even do that at all. So yeah, I don't want to be rambling on here, but did I do the right thing? Did our shop do the right thing? What would you have done? Would you have sold both the starter and the ignition switch? Or would you have just sold the ignition switch? Or what? Alright, that's all sealed up. That's for Winkler. What I'm using is this guy. Liquid electrical tape. Starbright. See what you guys think? Comment below, I guess. I don't think I've ever said that before, but go ahead. I want to hear what you guys think. Did I screw up? Did I do it right? Should I have sold both? I don't know. But we're done here. Almost. You guys have a good night, good day, good weekend. Diagnostic out.